Yep, let's start.
Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. As you can see, I have with me Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar. We'll discuss China. There's a lot which is happening in that small piece of ocean in the Indo-Pacific, which can actually result into a lot many consequences for the rest of the world. It's an interesting scenario, sir. Let's just, today has been again a very interesting day. I think the Chinese have extended their exercise. There is movement from the U.S. There is some condemnation, some era of support which is coming for the Chinese. So it's all in all, sort of a well balanced day.
Yeah, good evening, Adi, and good evening to all viewers. We're doing this special late night show because last time we couldn't take too many questions. And I think this is a crucial 3 day period, 4 day period, when the tone of what's going to come ahead is, revealing itself.
Hmm.
So what we'll do is I'll quickly recap the events as they have come about and as they have been reported because we have no way of knowing what's actually happening on ground, right? And then we can discuss whatever we want. So,
So
right? Okay.
there's some
So let's put
questions
on the
asked
yeah.
that I will pick up. And before I add this to the screen, request everybody to hit the like button. That's critical for us to reach more and more people. It beats the algorithm, as well as subscribe if you've not a part of this channel. You can also donate to Dev Talks by clicking thanks or becoming a member by clicking join. You're
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. There's a picture which is quite now on the internet. It just signifies that Chinese warships and jets are skirting Taiwanese coastline. There's a Taiwanese soldier having a look at all these fellows, and Beijing is trying to keep up pressure on Taiwan after the Pelosi visit. This is the headline in South China Morning Post. Well, this is a cartoon, right? Actually, I like this cartoon only for the simple reason, this is what it is. China is huffing and puffing and sending all their boats around Taiwan, but they're only circling around, airplanes and all. Nothing hitting Taiwan. Point to note: so far, China has not crossed the red line of targeting any any target in Taiwan. Let's put it this way.
Hmm.
It's all a show, right? So far, right? That's something important, and you know, the Chinese have suspended all U.S. defense dialogues. Right? They've broken away, and this raises the risk of an accidental clash because there's
Hmm.
no communication. Okay, and right. It also appears that the Chinese are in for the long haul. That's what they feel, and I think all of us should be very clear that we are in for the long haul. Okay, this tension is going to be amorphous. It's going to spill over. It's going to have many hues. It's going to roll in one into the other. Sooner or later, it's going to touch India, but that we'll talk later. And they also say that tensions between China and US over Taiwan will expand into the South China Sea, right? And it is only logical that will happen. I mean, that's almost a given. We'll talk of it later. But then, China being China, it still continues to warn as if it's a very local policeman or a global policeman. कि भाई देखो, if you don't do anything, I will sort you out. And, despite all this talk, you seen the earlier cartoon where Xi Jinping is, waving his ships and airplanes paper. So paper tiger. Hai. Okay. And the US ambassador, the second thing which here, the second headline below, is that the US ambassador in, the Chinese ambassador in US has had a spat with the White House officials. And that will, well, slowly play over. We'll see. But, they are quite this thing. And this is again very nice. So she came, she saw, and she conquered. Right? End of story. So, and Xi Jinping can keep yelling, to his heart's content. But then what's happened is, you know, this headline is from South China Post. It's one-sided. It says that Taiwan's marine shippers, airlines have all rerouted to avoid the military exercises, and the cost will rise. But if these are the areas and these are being avoided by Taiwan, they will be avoided by China also. The same areas, right? So their costs also will go. Okay, and shipping delays are possible. There is no doubt, though there is no blockade, there is no formal blockade, shipping will get hit. Not only
Absolutely.
in Taiwan, it will get hit in China also. So it's a, like we've been saying and everyone has been saying, whatever China does to Taiwan will be the same what it does to itself. So this is one thing. In fact, I remember day before yesterday, I said, I mean, this is a thing in South China Morning Post where they said, if you put sanctions against Taiwan, it's like lifting a stone and dropping it on your own feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's where it is. And if you look at the larger issue, for those of you not understood, you see center Taiwan. And if this Taiwan is encircled, the larger area around that will encircle. These are the deployments which are little old. But just to give you a bird's eye view of the whole thing. So all these US forces will come closer the moment, something Taiwan starts getting, you know, encircled or isolated, or a blockade is coming in or something like that. The moment that happens, the entire Chinese coast will get automatically blockaded.
Mm.
So it's a double-edged weapon, whatever China is doing. And that's why they're going to stop it tomorrow. They're lifting this tomorrow, Sunday, isn't it? So in a few hours that the blockade will get lifted, and that's it. And then we'll see what kind of a thing will start. That's a different story. Okay.
Yellow sea, they're
Now,
saying. No.
yeah, LOC is, okay, LOC is between Korea and,
Mm.
you know, China.
China.
Between Japan and China, Korea and China, it's further to the north, LOC, north of Taiwan. Okay. So that's a different story. That will not, but then, look, again, if you do anything in the LOC or the East China Sea, you block Shanghai.
Mm.
Okay. So there's a problem there, right? Now, this is a picture of from the ISR of ISR status of the US monitoring of this area. They're monitoring everything. They know exactly what's happening. See, like I told you yesterday, it's one thing for China to fire and do everything, but all whatever is China is doing, all their
Being
tactics,
recorded.
whatever they're trying, is now being recorded. The performance of their weapons is being recorded. Actually, my view is China has exposed itself. See, everyone knows that the US, what their tactics are and all that, and they're very good at it, and they've been practicing. They're practicing with so many armies, navies, and all that, and they're evolving. China has not done that. This is the first time they're doing this on their own. So they're exposing themselves, right? So while they might be, you know, bullying Taiwan, they're exposing themselves. Militarily, it's a poor tactic.
Mm.
Okay. Now, the China also US also feels that China's military operations around Taiwan basically have an intent to change the status quo. What is the status quo? They might not attack and all that, but they might start violating the red lines, getting closer, and start violating the territorial waters of Taiwan. That's the thing. The risk of accidents will go up. China will become more aggressive. Look, all this will happen, mark this thing, unless there's a diplomatic breakthrough or an economic necessity. or an accident. One of the three will happen, and things will after that cool down. Okay, there's of course Nancy Pelosi, who feels that she deals with dragons every day in US. The Chinese dragon is nothing great, and she's proven it also. Yeah, this is a very interesting article which I read today in New York Times. It says in turbulent times, Xi builds a security forces for China and himself. And this article talks of Taiwan, COVID, color revolutions everywhere. You know, Xi Jinping has turned hard left in his tenure back to communism, core values of communism. And he's seen the color revolutions in the Middle East and the West Asia and North Africa. And he's worried about them. Okay. Uh, that was, of course, 10 years back. But now that has become a megalomaniac approach. Okay. So, in this period where there is a nationalistic outpouring, or rather, uh, I wouldn't say anti nationalistic, but there is a lot of criticism of the overt nationalism which has come about in China or been seen in this time. Um, this is important. Okay, everyone feels that nationalism or the nationalism is big built. See, a lot of nationalism got deflated in the past 3 4 days, and they're rebuilding it. And that rebuilding and nationalism is a very important component of the security forces for China and for himself.
Yeah, survival. Sir.
Survival. This is an interesting article. I would suggest people to read it. Okay. Then, of course, in Philippines, Blinken has vowed to strengthen military ties. Basically, this is a thing which where Blinken has gone and assured Philippines that we will be, around. Now, why is this being done? The next picture says that. Why is this? You look at this cartoon. Though it's a cartoon, it conveys a great message. China is now, trying to eat up Taiwan. But which are the moment it eats up Taiwan, right, or is in the process of doing so, which are the other countries which come under the hammer? It's Vietnam, Philippines, Japan, and South Korea. So whatever good relations China has had with these countries will start evaporating now. I mean, out of all these countries, it was only with Philippines that they had some forward moment of being okay. But now, like what the earlier picture I had shown, see the Blinken reassuring Marcos, that we will come to your aid at time of need. Okay, so you will find as you go along, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Vietnam, Singapore, and other nations, especially Indonesia, Borneo, all these which are in that belt will start going against China because they are threatened. Till Taiwan is in focus, they are okay, they are in the shadow of Taiwan. Okay, so this is a very important thing. And just to give you an idea, if you remember the inner line which is closer to China is a what is that first chain of islands, which starts from first island chain, which starts from Japan, comes to Taiwan, Philippines, and goes down further, and swings around to Vietnam. Now, all this first island chain nations will be under threat the moment Taiwan falls. Also, the moment Taiwan falls, China has an open access to the second island chain and Guam. So it will be in direct contact with the Americans. So all these countries, for their own, good, will start cooperating with each other. And definitely, China, if it is remains aggressive as it is, will push these countries to form some kind of an alliance or go on completely under the US umbrella. It is something like what happened in NATO countries.
mm,
The moment Russia started threatening Ukraine and Ukraine this got attacked, you saw Finland and others, Sweden coming into NATO. Right? Those who are prevaricating also will come. So this is the net issue. What I wanted to say, of course, there is a thing on Chinese diplomacy. That's how it is, right? Yeah, we can take the slides off. This is what I had to say. Adi, we can carry forward to the discussion and your
Also,
point of view.
I think I think I'd like to take this first question. This is to me a bit interesting because I personally kind of relate to this particular question.
Yeah,
Um, China says extension of drills. Does this seem an extending affair? I think that is something which is being discussed in a lot many circles where people are saying that these guys might just keep this thing going for as long as they can just to practice how to kind of squeeze Taiwan. What do you?
yeah, possible. They might extend the drills, but like I said, if they continue the drills at this stage, at this level, what happens is the threat level in that area goes up. If the threat level in the area goes up, US, Philippines, Japan, and Korea will react, as I said, because they are also threatened.
Hmm,
Okay, so the moment that happens, automatically there's an auto blockade of China. Will China like that? That's the first one. Second thing, you extend the drills and you become aggressive. And if there's an accident and there's a foul up and there's shooting, what happens? And you can't respond. What happens? So you're increasing a risk.
hmm,
They took the risk of trying to show bluster and prevent Nancy Pelosi from visiting. They almost pulled it off till Nancy Pelosi thought otherwise, and she landed and went, and they could do nothing. Before she came, they were yelling. After she left, they are yelling, and they're still, running their paper boats around Taiwan, like in that cartoon. So they'll be left with something like that. That will be a bigger problem.
hmm.
So I don't know whether China wants to do that. If it wants to do that, it's a loser. Look, I mean, why is it China has to take a call between tactical gains and strategic losses?
That's the question.
That's the question. And if you continue the drills, and if there's it's only a drill, and if there's an accident follow up, and you have to continue the drill into invasion, and you can't, you will fail.
Yeah, that will be
So
the embarrassment.
the risks of this extending drills will are high. But what is feasible? What China can do, they could increase violations. Right now that they've got used to the idea of violating Taiwanese ADIZ and crossing that median line, they could increase this. That they can do. Okay, but then how long will they do it? How long will they do it? At some point of time, when they continue, see, as far as they keep doing that, they pose a risk to Japan, South Korea, Philippines, and Vietnam. Let's not have doubts about that. Okay, if they do, they're gonna get it back. It's a matter of time. Okay, life is not only military dominance. There is economic issues. There are diplomatic issues. There are people-to-people contacts. Already now, China has broken away with US on many issues. Okay, if it crosses the threshold, US will start reacting. Just note, US has so far not reacted, except to say, look, this is a normal thing. You don't need to get worked up. And they only said, look, you started the game, you finish it yourself. There was no need to get into this kind of a tizzy. And China has put itself in a corner. How it comes out, it's his choice. Okay. So let's see how it moves.
True. True, sir. I'm going to take a question from, day for yesterday's. This thing is from a gentleman who terms himself as GD. And guys, please start firing up your questions. I've got some here, but please share them across so that I can, run them through. I want to kind of go through pretty much all the questions today till the last. Will Pakistan side with China in a war with India, considering United States of America can also do a lot of damage to Pakistan?
Theoretically, yes. Practically, no. Okay. First and foremost, I don't think China will take on a war with India at this stage
Hmm.
because it's fairly well committed in Taiwan. If it commits its Western Theater Command, the two main theater commands will get involved, and then it'll struggle for reserves. Okay, and I don't think China will get involved in a two-front situation,
Yeah.
and that too an extended two-front situation because this is going to take a long time. And if they want to get involved with India, if you remember the last time we went into a problem, it was over 3 months
Hmm.
or 4 months, in fact.
Yes.
So it's not going to be in a hurry. Um any disengagement, engagement could be in a hurry. Disengagement will take its time. So in
Yes.
that condition, I don't know whether China will first get into a war with India. Leave alone war, they'll might not get into a conflict or a confrontation with India. They will not like to escalate. That's my view. If it happens differently, that's a different thing. We'll see why it happens. But let's get back to Pakistan. Where is Pakistan today? Pakistan still doesn't know where it's going to get its next, meal from. IMF has not released money. They'll release it at the end of this month, if all goes well. Okay, their rupee has come still above 240 per. I mean 240 rupees to a dollar, something like that. Their politics are getting worse. If you
Hmm.
read the Dawn and, and other newspapers of Pakistan, that politics are getting even more problematic with PTI coming under the foreign funding issue and Imran Khan coming out with statements. He says he's already given some kind of a veiled warning to the judiciary. So there are issues. I don't think, and plus, who will be the chief of Pakistan's army? That's also up for grabs. So war is not going to happen. And in any case, war this season is out. We are already in August. Okay, I'm just giving you. In fact, if you remember, Adi, 2 years back, when we were doing the Eastern Ladakh thing, this question came: When will China come back to us? I said, "Yeah, not for the next 3 years. After that, we'll see." And even then, I said might not happen. If you remember, this was in June, July 20, if you
Yes.
remember.
I think this just after the disengagement.
Yeah, maybe. Right. So that's happening. It will not come. I don't think they'll come with in front of us in any great form, even the next season.
Regarding the spy ship, does India have the capability to sail through South China Sea and Taiwan in the future, or else no need to indulge in psyops and keep our head down and work towards our goal? I think we've already sailed through that area once,
Yeah, we
twice.
have sailed through that area. It's not as if we have not gone there. At one point of time, we were also exploring for oil in that area as a concession from Vietnam. Uh, but then, having said that, I don't think we need to go and stick our head there unnecessarily. It's better to guard our own, thing and develop your strength. This is a chance for you to develop your strength, right? There will be some chutput actions on the LAC, and this one odd spy ship will come and go. It doesn't matter. We shouldn't get overworked about it. Yeah, we should take action. That's a different story, but that doesn't mean that you just get after that incident. There is a time for us to develop our own strength. It's a
True.
time for us to develop cooperation with the Quad. It's a time for us to exercise the Quad and put it into an operational framework. It's a time for us to uh, strengthen our relationship with Vietnam, um, Japan, South Korea, and Australia.
Philippines.
right? There's a time of opportunity. It is not a time for us to go and sail and say, "Oh, I've come there. Let's take care of our backyard."
Sure. So, question from last time, Ramandeep asks, what are the long-term implications of Pelosi's visit to Taiwan in terms of Chinese aggression? Does that also impact the Indo-Chinese situation at the LSE? I think we've covered that, but I think
Yeah,
long-term implications is something you can comment on, sir.
there will be long-term implications. There's a major rupture in relationship between US and China. There is also a major implication for Taiwan. There will be a major implication for everyone around, right? We also have to understand that China is not as strong as it was earlier. It's weak. In fact, there's a uh, article in the Wall Street Journal. Very interesting article. It says that China is peaking and hereafter it has to decline, and in this phase, it's going to be very aggressive, as it is, for many reasons.
Hmm.
This incident will only make it more aggressive. So this phase is going to last long. It's not going to be easy. Maybe 1, 2, 3 years before something else happens, right? So let's be ready for the long haul.
That's I think the more pragmatic way of looking at it as well. Taiwan has a big advantage that China itself has with gray zone warfare and shifted red lines for warfare. That's an interesting
Hi,
comment, sir.
Mandar. I think I agree with you. Taiwan can carry out gray zone warfare. So can China. And, all this, what is happening is also part of gray zone warfare in a manner. You know, uh, upmanship, brinkmanship, all this is happening right now. And sooner or later, when the things come down, you will have this effort at gray zone warfare. But having said that, I wonder if all of you noticed, China has not touched even one island of
Taiwan.
Taiwan, which is next to its coast, like Kinmen or Matsu or many other islands which are there.
Kilometers.
Yeah, just kilometers off, few kilometers off, they could just take a sailboat and walk over to the Thailand and take it over. They've not done it. Because they know the repercussions of doing that are very high. They know the repercussions of firing on mainland Taiwan, on Taiwan itself are very high. And they may not be ready to go through with the whole thing. So it tells you that China has severe limitations. In those severe limitations, at this point of time, all it can do is make faces at Taiwan and fire away in the water. That's it.
Kiran says many media organizations are showing Arunachal Pradesh as a shady striped region. Yeah, that's quite a, I think, irritating point for a lot of people. Many violating Indian sovereignty in digital media. Why is government of India not responding to this threat from China? It's more of an internal threat, I think.
Yeah, I think we are also doing it. We don't see it many places, right?
Yeah.
And so where,
It's
where,
interesting to. I'd like to, if you don't mind, remind you of that photograph that came off of that village in
yeah.
one of our news media channels, and it was pretty much isolated to a single news media channel, and it's quite interesting how they got that thing.
Oh, it is planted. I have no doubt in my mind it was planted on them. And someone, took it as a scoop and showed it here. It's
Hmm.
all planted. It's part of psyops. And then nothing else. So this is also part of psyops, which and cartographic aggression is something which China has been doing from a long time.
Yeah, that's their
Okay.
main weapon, if I may. I
Yeah.
mean,
But having said that, I also agree that our own government has to do something about it. We are a little
so
dealer on this. Let's not have any doubts about it.
indeed, I think this is something a lot of people have started saying. So strategic communication within us is something that we've kind of
Very, yeah.
ignored. So Sachin asks, this is from our last chat. Even if China's economy slows down, it will only delay taking over US's economy, which it will eventually do due to its sheer size. The real question is, can India ever catch up? I think
Well, look,
Sachin,
these are things we don't know
let
what's
us
going to happen in future. Yeah.
If I may, Sachin, you need to watch some videos that we've done on the Chinese economy to get a little context in this particular question. So,
Yeah. Firstly, it's too, in this kind of a flux, it's very difficult to predict.
mm,
Everyone says that Chinese economy will grow. What if tomorrow an accident happens and, people start, I won't say sanction, but they avoid China? What happens then? See, at this point of time, the other day also I was saying, and somewhere else also I was speaking. At this point of time, internal consumption of China is weak. Their real estate is in a dump. Which is 30% of their GDP. Their big tech has been broken up. Alibaba is reporting losses. Their incomes have halved. In the last episode, I showed a headline. Okay, it says the income has halved. Uh, that's the problem with the complete big tech. Big tech plus real estate is nearly 50% of their GDP. That's in pain. Consumers are not there. Jobs losses are getting cut. I mean, job losses are happening. Pay cuts are happening. Their banking is under stress. We discussed this. Their banking is in a major stress. So, with all this, if China has to turn around, right, it has to increase exports. That's the only way. Or restructure its economy. Restructuring economy means first they have to knock off the 30 to 40% of big tech and real estate and have a different model to take it forward, which they're not having, which they don't have.
mm,
They're only reinforcing infrastructure. They're saying we'll run bullet trains between cities. What's the use of running a bullet train between two ghost cities? Yeah, that's a ghost economy. So that economy is not growth. It's not, meeting people's aspirations. And if in this environment, if their economy, their uh, exports are strangled by their actions against Taiwan, what will happen to them?
that's true, sir.
So you look at it from any way, all these predictions that Chinese economy will overtake US economy in the next 2 days, 3 days is a mirage. Let me put another shade to this economic model of China as of date, which I learned just a couple of days back. I was reading some good economist. This point came out. Everyone says that Chinese inflation is 2 to 3% or 2%, 2.5% or something like that. Whereas our inflation is running at 6, 7, 8, 9%. So we feel that we are in a trouble and China is not, is happy. So this guy says, if you want growth, around 4 to 5% inflation is a must, and it's that's a fact. He says if it has gone to 2 to 3%, they might be hitting recession. Giving the fact that China manipulates its figures to suit its convenience. So we don't know actually what is happening in China. And add to it, they are firing so many missiles into the sea. It's money, hard money. Okay, so many ships and this and that are all going. It's going to cost them if they're going to keep extending these drills and all that. Their economy will start going down and down and down. You can't. There's an economic angle to this whole story.
Yeah, of course.
So let us see. I think it's too premature. Whether India can catch up, very difficult. Let's be very clear. We can't be China. We can't. We should not be China. It is better that you give up this dream of catching up with China and see how you have equitable growth. India will be the best country if the poorest chap in India gets his tummy full every night. That to me is a more important thing than a huge GDP growth. Huge GDP growth means outsized manufacturing. Outsized manufacturing means pollution, environmental problems, and this is a time of climate change. And given our lax conditions, in India on environmental and pollution control, on awareness, where will we head? Delhi can close itself for the 365 days in a year, not only in winters. So there are problems. Yeah.
Whenever China stuck in Taiwan, like Russia does, is it the right time to take back Aksai Chin? Okay.
Look, like, I mean, a lot of people have this fixation that we should take back Aksai. We should take back Aksai, but at the right time. This is not the time to start dreaming of it. We don't have the capability to go and take it over. Let's be very, very, very clear about it. You don't spend more than 1.5% of your GDP on military. Over and above that, you're doing a restructuring in Agniveer, which puts you into no man's land. Because I'm very convinced that Agniveers are going to uh, you know detract from the operational capability of the Indian Army. And all this, if you have to go to Aksai, Air Force won't do it, nor will Navy come and capture Aksai. It has to be Army. Okay. Army in flux, not adequate funds. How will you go to Aksai? If you look at your procurement programs, they're all going dire, dire, dire. Nothing has changed. We might have a strong prime minister. I have no problem with him. We might have a very good defense minister. I have no problem with them. Very good people. But have they been able to modernize Indian armed forces the way they should have been modernized? You don't have a CDS for the past 8 months. How will you do theaterization? How will you do so many other things? You don't have joint communication. You don't have joint logistics. You don't have joint operations. You don't have joint procurement. I mean, we should. It's one thing very nice to be emotional about what you want to do, but one has to be cold headed and clear headed. A cold analysis will tell you Aksai is beyond us. So I leave it at that.
Are China's fifth gen J-20 jets capable? They still use Sukhois for the
We don't
incursions.
know. I mean, let me be very honest, we don't know. They're doubtful. They're doubtful because they don't have engines. See, China, for all its technological greatness, you know, doesn't have some fundamental technologies. It doesn't have seeds. It doesn't have technology to produce enough seeds for itself to become food secure. It doesn't have chips. In fact, there's a scam in chips in China, which has just come out again. They have there are limitations. They're dependent on chips outside. It's energy deficient. It's resource deficient. Its core technology is deficient. Okay, so all these things about stealth jet, fighter, AO, we don't know the technology. All the weaponry they have given to countries like Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and I don't know who all. They don't work. There are no spares. So, one shouldn't just go by what is given in magazines and reporters. After all, these chaps are who are reporting in newspapers and all. What are they? They're normal reporters. Today he'll report on jets. Tomorrow he'll report on animal husbandry. So leave it at that. Okay.
Can we use Chinese corruption against itself in the CCP? Seems like they need a taste of their own medicine.
We should use, first and foremost, stem corruption for ourselves. Can you stem corruption in your society? Everyone has been using your corruption against you. That when I say you, I mean me also. We will not be very far away from Chinese corruption standards. We know that. You tell me, you go to any shop anywhere in India. Okay, we all know. That if he has to bill you on GST, there is something else. If you don't want a bill, he'll give you at some other rate. They could be a branded good, not branded good. Okay, so this is India. Same thing happens in China. Why they are corrupt? Let's okay, let them be corrupt. Let them really wreck their economy. We don't. Unless you start becoming more honest, where will we go? Right?
There, there's a huge question in that as well, sir. To one to others, sir. What happens if India has 10,000 ATAGS with a memory of
Right, right.
inventory of
All
250?
this is paper kite flying. Huh? You don't need 10,000 net tags. And inventory of 250,000 shells is nothing. Look, we fired 5 lakh shells in Kargil. People forget it. We fired just 9,000 shells one night on Tiger Hill. And that was a 30-day war. We fired 50,000 shells. So we have much more and we don't need 10,000 attacks.
Mandar again, he says black hands in China must be feeling that they are in a strong position.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let us see where it goes. We don't know. Okay. China is a
Interesting.
strange country. Okay.
Travis says Pelosi wants to defend Taiwan because it is a large slush fund for most of the US Congress. Make no mistake, China is messing with their money. This will get ugly. I wish President Trump was in office.
Well, there's a fundamental truth in what in this question, and the answer to this goes back in the previous century. Actually, after the Second World War, when under the Marshall Plan, U.S. decided to rebuild most of Europe and Japan, or rather reinvigorate their economies. What many don't know is they reinvigorated Taiwanese economy under Chiang Kai-shek because they couldn't get around to the mainland. The reinvigoration of mainland was done in 72 when Nixon went to China. Taiwan, and one of the reasons why Chiang Kai-shek lost the civil war for the mainland, after all he was in power, was his effort to over-industrialize China, which he couldn't do. And the imbalances and they go into the war, a civil war with the communists, with Mao at the helm. Well, that's a different story. But when Chiang Kai-shek came here, he not only armed Taiwan, he also industrialized Taiwan with the help of USA. So USA has a long-term interest in Taiwan. As against, see today everyone thinks USA is there to finger China and take some chips and all that nonsense. But there's a long-term interest of China. That is why there is something called the Taiwan Relations Act. Then this relationship goes back to the previous century. So it's only natural that some people will exploit the loopholes in the relationship and have slush funds, right? Uh, well, he said, "I wish Trump was there in the chair." Well, that's his personal opinion, but I think Nancy Pelosi has done enough, and probably she's upstaged Trump. Let us see where it goes because this whole story puts the U.S.-China relationship at a different level of animosity. It increases U.S. commitment to Taiwan. So let us see where it goes. Two early days.
So, do you think China will actually go in militarily for Taiwan? I think that's something you've covered.
Yeah, we have
Uh,
covered Kotari.
Thanks.
They will not be able to do it. They are not prepared to do it. If they were ready to do it or prepared to do it, they would have gone in by now. Okay. Yeah, she came, she saw, and she conquered. I agree with.
I
right?
think Travis is
Hmm.
here again. It says China will seek to isolate India, which is impossible. Not sure how that goes. I hope India comes out stronger in any situation. India is a great ally. I
Look,
wonder where you're joining us from,
yeah,
Travis. But,
Travis, it appears he's from the Western Hemisphere. I understand. Look, India is strong. Contrary to many beliefs, India is very strong. Okay. Uh, China isolating India is out of question. India is too big a country to be isolated, right? I mean, one has to understand what military isolation is. Isolation, like going and sitting in Sri Lanka and you know Myanmar or Pakistan, is not isolation.
mm,
Okay, and India has got too big a coastline to be bottled. On the other hand, India has the strength to bottle up China on the Malacca Straits with the Andaman Nicobar Island.
that's true.
Right? India is very strong. I have no doubt. I agree with Travis when he says India should become stronger. I wouldn't say come out stronger. Become stronger is the more is the watchword. I've always maintained. I mean, this is something which I've maintained, and I'll reiterate. To defend India's territorial integrity and sovereignty, our armed forces are modern enough and strong enough. There's no problem. We've been doing it for so long. But to become a rising power, a regional power, which
Need a lot more.
has a say in world affairs, you need to modernize your armed forces. That is
Absolutely.
what is my concern. Are we doing it well enough, fast enough? Are we committing enough money to it? That is the question, right? And India is a good ally for any democratic force. On that, I have no doubt. In fact, I would say without India, many problems in this part of the world will not get solved. And there are many problems in this part of the world. You have to understand this. India is the confluence between the terrorism and the radical Islamism on one side, and this communist surge or scourge which is coming from the other side.
True. Absolutely. Thanks, Travis, for that super sticker. Let's move on. I think I'm sorry, I've just kind of lost my way in the list of questions. Yeah, here we are. Uh, one of the here we are. What is the permanent solution of backstabbing nature of Sri Lanka? So, sir,
That's a very,
we've got a whole list of questions. So, uh,
yeah, I
let's try
understand.
today.
Okay, I don't think, first and foremost, why did this backstabbing term come in? You have to understand that. And these roots are in the IPKF operations. We went in as someone's friend, became everyone's enemy, and exited as everyone's enemy. No one had confidence in us.
Yeah.
So it is only because of those operations that Sri Lanka swung to China. Right? And of course, when I say those operations and the aftermath of those operations, right? Then after that, we, you know, virtually had a hands-off policy from China over Sri Lanka, and gave space to others to come in. We've got an opportunity back now. I mean, let's not look back too much. I mean, I can keep discussing this for a long time to come. And Sri Lanka is quite close to me because I know people from Sri Lanka and Chennai. I've grown up with them, and the other links, the cultural links. And I'm not talking of only Tamil links, other also. A lot of Sri Lankans used to study here.
Mm.
I've also taught Sri Lankans. I've done courses with Sri Lankans, so I understand them well. But so we'll not go back into the past. If you have to look ahead, you got an opportunity, right? We have an opportunity to squeeze things out. Already there's some pushback on that spy ship which is coming around on 11th. Whether it happens or not, we don't know. But I think that will give a red flag for further uh, movement into Hambantota of PLA ships. So that's a good sign. Otherwise, also the general feeling in Sri Lanka is that look, India has been our good friend. We need to build this up. And India has had a perpetual problem that all its neighbors feel that we are a bully. They're worried about us. Okay. So it's, for them, they feel it's like sleeping with a gorilla. It doesn't matter whether the gorilla has good intentions or not. It doesn't, if it turns anywhere around, you get squeezed if you're sleeping with it. It's something like that. It are huge weight compared to this. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, Afghanistan also. So and Pakistan. So it is this factor also which inhibits and makes them seem to be backstabbing. But then again, there's no point looking back. We have an opportunity. Let's look ahead. And I think the government is on the right line. Yeah.
So, ask Jan Shankar, if war happens and China loses, what happens to the loans given to Sri Lanka and Pakistan? Would they be wiped off? I think the Pakistanis would be praying and hoping.
Look, even if war doesn't happen and if Pakistan can't repay the loan, what will happen? It's wiped off.
I'm sorry,
What
I
can
should
look? What
for
can
that.
China do? Why should China have to lose a war now to wipe off its loans? You think Pakistan and Sri Lanka will be ever be able to repay China loans, or will they do? They are already in a default. Default means everyone takes a haircut. 50% of loans from China are from its banks. They're not secured loans. They're not sovereign loans.
True.
Same thing with Pakistan. Okay, so there's a big haircut involved. There's a big haircut involved in all entire BRI. Okay, so there is a problem. That's another thing which we didn't discuss. See, the economy of China, only in this question answers things come out, details come out. It's very precarious at this point of time. It'll not collapse, but definitely it's going to go a lot of pain. It's going to be a normal country economically for a long time to come. Yeah.
Thanks, Kiran, for that super sticker. Uh, Moving on, I think, but I must say that that question kind of, if nothing else, Sunny, who gave
Yeah.
that question, actually put a huge smile on my face because it was a serious topic that we were discussing. But this was, I think, the Pakistanis would be hoping and praying something like that happens.
No, no, Pakistanis don't go this thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, can we see a maritime fishing militia instead of the PLAN to de-escalate but keep the pot burning?
Yeah,
That's
this is
very
part of the gray war, gray zone operations. When the PLAN plan comes out, they'll send militias. This will happen.
They've already got some 10,000 ships, if I'm not mistaken, these militia
They would
ships
be
ready.
having. Yeah, they would be having.
They
On
were
the,
they
the,
were
no, no.
farming it. If you remember, sir, we discussed this
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
2 weeks
They'll
ago.
do it, but only thing now they'll not touch those militia and all because then the intent becomes overt.
Forward.
Yeah.
Satyam says, is there a chance for a cultural revolution type mayhem on the Chinese people? Not many
Well,
more
this is
mayhem.
a very interesting question. No? Uh, at this point of time, it doesn't appear so. But revolutions in China are known to happen for very myriad reasons. That's why you read that Wall Street, you read that New York Times article which I've given, Fortress China, and you will understand that there is a live problem in China at this point
About
of time.
Fortress China, sir, let me just try and dig it out. I'll put a link in the.
Yeah, do that.
In it, I'll
It's
put a
in
link.
it's in New York Times.
Hmm.
So there is a problem, and revolutions when they happen don't give warnings; they just happen. How did USSR collapse overnight? No trace, just sank. Then, of course, the thing is that in China, in the Chinese history, their empires have spanned about 1 to 2 centuries. After the second century, most empires have started degenerating, right? And the degeneration starts in the end of the first century. Some empires continued in this state of degeneration over 300-400 years also. If you see the history of Chinese empires, oh, it's going to be 100 years very soon, uh, since the PLA has come into, and the communists have come into power. So this empire, the communist empire, will start degenerating. We are seeing initial signs of it. And the seeds of this degeneration were sown when the one child policy was promulgated. Not many people agree with me, but I think that's the case.
After that, COVID, there's so many things.
Yeah, so many other things. Yeah.
Why doesn't India give a swift uppercut to China? That's the way to treat bullies, isn't it? China is demonstrating that they are hot air and complete cowards.
Yeah, why do you want to entangle with them? You see, getting into a war with China is at the cost of your own economy. It is the cost of your own people. Let them disintegrate on their own. Why we, it's very nice to say that we should fight and give them an uppercut and lower cut and all. You will also get cut. Why do you want to
Big
get
time,
involved with it?
big time, big time.
Yeah, big time. Let's safeguard our borders and act when they show intent, right?
Yes,
And the
I've just
opportunity will come when the opportunity. See, there's another fact. Let me, since we're talking of India China thing, uh, the relationship between Tibet and China is very funny. When the empires in China, the central authority in China was very strong, uh, Tibet was almost a vassal state to China, like it is now, or integrated as part of China, something like that. But when the central authority in China was weak, Tibet raised its flag of its independence. If China becomes weak and Tibet starts raising its flag of independence, I think that's a bigger uppercut which you can deliver than getting into a direct fight. There are better methods.
Travis's general is correct. India must increase its strength regardless of how a standoff may take form. India will have to face China in some form eventually. And his second comment is if India tries to invade Taiwan, it will become a meat grinder. Quite possibly.
Yeah, possible. I mean, I don't think it'll become a meat grinder because they're going to get stuck. They'll also get suffer. Look, most of us presume that Taiwan will not retaliate. I think Taiwan will retaliate, so will USA, so will Japan. Look, this will become a bit of an uncontrolled event.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, China will suffer economically. It might signal the end of China, and that is one of the problems of Z. That's why that article from New York Times. You see, not many people like New York Times XYZ. I know that, but read that article from New York Times today.
I've
It
pinned it
tells
on the
you,
chat. I've just put it on the chat. So
yeah, it tells you the vulnerability of China. China was very great till the time US was behind it, Germany was behind it, EU was behind it. They considered it the workshop of the world. It was all hunky dory. That China has gone, and that China has gone from 2012 when Xi Jinping came to power. This China today, what we are seeing is a different China altogether. It's more like the Mao's China, where private enterprise has been knocked off, state enterprise has come to the center. It's a command economy. Command economies eventually collapse. Even if they don't collapse, they'll disintegrate into something rotten, right? So, if they get into a war, my view is, which I've published, is that China might win the war against Taiwan, or rather the battle
bad.
against Taiwan, the local battle against Taiwan, but it'll lose its war against itself.
Big diplomatic win for India. Sri Lanka asked Chinese to defer until further notice. USA played an important role getting this prerequisite in helping it to get into the IMF program.
Let's
Is
see
he
how this plays out. This is what has come out in the news so far. These are the first rushes which have come. Let's see how it plays out. But if we are able to do it, it's great. It's a big win.
very interesting discussion analysis? Thank
Thanks,
you so
Ray.
much.
Thanks a lot. And just keep coming on back.
I understand from you, sir, how China continues to make nuisance in India. Can we take help of our
Can't we
Tibetan
take?
and Nepali friends to do the same, especially in areas across Arunachal?
We can, provided we have a policy and we are able to, convince the Nepalese to act on our behest.
Yeah,
And we can convince the Tibetans to act the way we want. But the fundamental problem is, I mean, you have to go back. There's a lot of politics and history in this. The Dalai Lama has said he doesn't want independence from China. He only wants autonomy. He wants a middle path. So where does it leave you? Okay, there are everyone says play the Tibet card, but if you read the Tibetan history, you read the equation between China and Tibet and whatever I've told you, and you read your own equation between Tibet and India. The picture which emerges is there is a lot of scope, but to exploit that scope, India has to do quite a bit, which it has not done.
that is true, sir.
Okay, yeah.
It seems like Chinese influence of Nepal is growing. So I guess a connected question. That's why I actually put it up. They even started to flare up into border disputes with India, and BRI construction is also advancing in Nepal. What are the implications?
Well, this question is about a year too late. Things have changed in Nepal because there are problems between the Sino-Nepal border today, where China has, given them suddenly they gave a jolt to Nepal by demolishing a few buildings of Nepal on the border, and they said these are all ours, vacate. That's when Nepal got a jolt, and the border problem between India and Nepal is at the instigation of China, which was done 2 years back.
2 years back. Yes.
Okay, in the Lipu Lake area pass, right? So Nepal has now realized Nepal has got a balance of payments crisis. All their BRIs are in problem. Nepal has said we don't want to go into any more new project with Nepal. China, they very clearly made it out. And the people who are helping out Nepal is today India. So things are changing. You see,
Actually, there
one
was
more thing which I think which everyone must realize is the regional environment has changed. You have Pakistan, which is under financial stress. Sri Lanka is under financial stress. Bangladesh, which was supposed to be very good till this thing, they say we now want to go to IMF. Nepal is in a problem. Nepal wouldn't have survived but for the fact that you've given him a swap, right? Then, of course, Myanmar is in its own problem. They're all destabilized. They draw their sustenance of stability from India, except, of course, Pakistan. Pakistan draws its sustenance from God knows where, right? Wherever. That's their thing. We leave it at that. So we are in a sweet spot in one manner. It's also a challenging spot because we got an opportunity to stabilize our neighborhood. We should take it.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
on the Nepal issue, sir, about 2 weeks back, there was a news article that came out that the government had put out a parliamentary committee to investigate. And the report was they tried the report to be kind of pushed on the side because it would have created a huge tamasha
Yeah.
with the public. So that was something wanted to add. Uh, he says what happens to countries who can't pay China's rent on the Belt and Road program, China goes bankrupt, they overspent.
Yeah, I don't think China will go bankrupt, but China will have to take a haircut. China will go bankrupt only if their internal economy falls completely.
Yeah.
Right? Belt and Road is not that big a expenditure. Despite what China has said or its initial outlay, China has not spent more than 25-30% of its initial outlay. For example, the CPEC was supposed to be a $60 billion program, but
Hmm.
what China has given is just about 20 odd billion.
2025. It's a debated
25.
figure.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's not
But
much.
not 62. It's not
No,
62.
not 62, but so the figures initially committed and what outlays were made have not been put on ground. But still, it's big amount. Okay, for countries to pay back. If they can't pay back, China takes a haircut. Like I said, sovereign loans they might still hold on, but what about bank loans? See, there are three types of loans which China forwards to these BRI countries. I mean, this is interesting. One is sovereign loans. One is loans by banks, official loans, which are China-backed loans, right? Then there are third kind of loans which come from a shadowy thing, which don't figure in the balance sheets and the budgets of the host country. Okay, this is outside everything. Sometimes they do. It comes as a revelation that debt is still there. So these three, the last one is a shadow debt, which is not on any kind of understanding. If that goes fast. The second one is at risk of default and permanent default.
Hmm.
It's only the sovereign debt which has value. But if China flouts international rules and it cannot get world bodies on its side, then it also has to take a haircut.
True.
More than that, it loses influence. You remember we had written an article and we discussed this how China's
Influence
influence
is
is
waning.
global and waning. Yeah,
That was. It seems like Chinese. Okay, I think
yeah,
we've covered this. I'm sorry, we've covered this. Yeah, I read that despite removing one-child policy, the Chinese people have become so conditioned for one-child policy that they're not changing. That's yeah.
yeah. Mandar, that's a fair question. It's not as if that they're not changing because of the one-child policy or conditioning. There are factors why uh, the Chinese are not able to have more than one child. One, the first is girls are getting married later. Many of them don't want to get married. Second, in China, the young couples don't want to have they don't want to take the trouble of raising children. The third is the cost of raising children is very high, which they can't afford at this point of time. That right? So forget the second child; they're not interested even in the first child.
Hmm.
And then COVID. We might think, officially there are only so many cases, yeah, wo. But if you keep people in isolation forever, how will they have children? So they're not interested. All these things have put together. If you see the number of marriages are gone down, then there's another factor why this problem is happening. Uh, their gender imbalance. Female infanticide is quite prevalent in China. So they have more. That's why brides go from Pakistan.
Hmm.
Right? All these put together, their their two-child policy and now three-child policy, they're all on paper, absolutely on paper. Their births are coming down, and that comes uh, through Chinese media, right?
Very wise tutelage from
Oh,
you,
thank
sir.
you. Welcome. Thanks a lot, Travis.
Will this current crisis suffer further, accelerate industries moving out of China? Should India go all out to attract anyone wanting to move out of China? I think we are doing
Yeah,
that, but
they will move out. I had predicted when COVID started that over a 5 year period, there will be a reduction of about 20 to 20 30% in the industries in China. And that's happening. It'll take time. It doesn't happen overnight, right? It's happening. Should India interact all of these? I don't think so. There are a lot of pollution problems. Why should I take on the problems? See, China is a very polluted country. Their main two rivers are polluted. They can't be even used for agriculture, water. Even the groundwater is polluted. Their arable land is very less because of these two factors. So, why should I suffer those problems? And also, a very highly agrarian economy still. Okay, we don't want to lose that. And if you pollute your own rivers, if you pollute your own land, if you pollute your own environment, how will you be a food surplus nation? Today, you're a food surplus nation. Okay, you are at liberty to export to whom you want, notwithstanding what the West says. That status you can't lose.
True.
Look, in the past 2 years, I mean, let me put it, everyone thought this is a modern world, a lot of old economy is out of the window, old type of fighting is out of the window. No, nothing has changed. Advanced economies don't have food to eat. Inflation is rampant in those places, right? War is as primitive and bloody as it was 100 years back. AI and cyber and all this are, oh, they are there. They're good gray zone tools. Life is fundamental. You have to eat, live. You need food, clothes, shelter. That somehow many of us have lost track of.
Mm. Basics.
Yeah, those basics we shouldn't. Many times people these days it's a fashion to criticize Nehru, Gandhi, and all that. What did Gandhiji say? Gandhiji said, "If the day our villages are self-sufficient and in good health, India will be good." He didn't want migration from rural India to urban India. He said, take urbanization to the village. We didn't do that. You over industrialize, you will do exactly in the opposite direction of what that great man once told us. But there are connected issues. You don't have water. You have a problem for water. I mean, we are actually struggling for water. So complicated. Yeah.
Thus, China and Pakistan aggressively using WhatsApp and Twitter to trap our military personnel, using it to exploit the social fabric of India.
Yeah, you do hear of some odd cases of honey trapping and things like that, but it's not rampant. Most of our chaps are. See, when till the time I was in service, I must be open with you. Till the time I was in service, I had the most useless mobile which I was available, the cheapest mobile. For good 8, 10 years, I had the Nokia 1100. That's all, on which you can make a phone call, nothing more. So WhatsApp, I learned about WhatsApp in the last 2 years of my service. I didn't even know. I didn't have a smartphone. I had an idiot phone. Till someone said, "Look, you're a lieutenant general. Very smartphone, lelo." But very, very, very hesitatingly, I bought the most, cheapest and the third-rate smartphone available in the market with low capacities. Why? Not that I couldn't afford more, because security. I was very, very communication shy. If someone had told me come in front of a YouTube channel, I would have said go to hell. I was social media shy. I never okay. And still used to say, if you want to speak to me, speak to me on a landline. I never used to respond. So Indian Army has got some fundamentals in the right place. Old-fashioned, but very secure.
So if China big tech manufacturing and economy are going down with it, which might want to take over South Asia, why South Asians accept then even hypothetically they're not creating hell?
Yeah, I agree with you. Why should you take on others' problems?
Yeah.
There are enough. Of course, there is also a counter argument to this, that the people who want to diversify from China, what has COVID taught us in the past 2 years? If you are over reliant on one country, you have a problem. So tomorrow, if Apple earlier was making all its iPhones from China, today they'll make it from six different places. Or tomorrow, right? They'll have six. One might have more manpower, one might have less manpower and capacities. That's a different thing. But they'll have six different locations on which they can. I've taken the figure of six. It will be five, three, two more, but it'll have more than one choice or two. So if this diversification from China is going to spread over Bangladesh, India, even Sri Lanka, one way of recovering from Sri Lanka's economy itself is this. Okay, put industries there. So it could be Malaysia, it could be Singapore, it could be not Singapore. Singapore doesn't have space. Indonesia, it could be Vietnam, Philippines. So if you, this spread, automatically things will balance itself out. This over concentration of China is what needs to be reduced. Yeah, India being a big country, we will get some a major share eventually, if we are not in a hurry, and we should be choosy about it.
So, China is increasing its influence in Central Asia, which is Russia's backyard. Do Russia need India to counter that because of war, its economy, and its interdependence in China, or can Russia handle itself?
Russia can handle itself, right? And
Pretty easy.
it'll come back to us, and that is why it does not let India go, despite its you know almost strategic alliance with China,
The
right?
sixth war that China fights is with Russia, so who need the sixth?
One of them. So everyone knows. No one will trust. See, globally, no one trusts China. The only two countries which trust China are Pakistan and North Korea. So I think that answers the question.
Even
Are we
Iran.
finished for the night? Yeah,
Uh,
Iran also doesn't trust China.
just a
Let's be
short
very clear.
comment. There's about 5, 7 of them. We
Yeah,
just,
we'll finish them
all
off in
them.
about 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. How come fintech companies are launching apps with instant loan based on Chinese money? They go for extortion and blackmail.
This is something which the government of India has to handle. Yeah,
This
this
is
is
the
yeah,
Chinese will get inside wherever they find a
yeah.
place. So
Should we
should we sell?
sell Brahmos or any other derivative to Taiwan? Yeah, I agree. We need to.
Some people
There's no
are of
doubt.
the opinion
Yeah.
that we should share certain nuclear technology as well with Taiwan, but
Well, you don't need to share nuclear technology with Taiwan. Taiwan has got its own reactor. They know have enough nuclear technology. Look, don't be surprised one day if Taiwan comes out with a bomb from its basement.
there have been
That
rumors, people have written about it, but
that day they can do that, they will show this little card to China, and this problem gets resolved.
hands up.
Yeah.
Problem with the J20, I think we were talking about it. Isn't isn't capability, is the quantity. They just don't have enough. That's true.
Look,
That's true.
it's that is one part of the story. They don't have quantity because they don't have the technology for engines. As simple as that.
They bought the WS-11 from Russia. It's not working yet.
Yeah.
We kept silent on the Exichin and Tibet issue, to which they are claiming Arunachal and Ladakh. Why not? We are making trouble in China.
Oh well, this is a ding dong question. We will go on, right? We had good opportunity during the Eastern Ladakh crisis to turn tables. We didn't. Maybe we'll do it down the line sometime. Yeah.
Should
Last
the
question. We'll not.
yeah,
We,
and
I would
a
not
couple.
like to answer this. No, we
I
this is
want
not
you to see the couple of comments that have been put across. They're a little funny, so
okay.
on this
Should
particular topic.
MOD go big on Dhanush attack to fill fire? Yeah, they have to have a comprehensive plan. The last plan is a bit outdated now, and conditions have changed. MOD needs to have a new plan to fill firepower gaps on the LAC. Uh, I've suggested a few to them how to go about it, but let's see where it goes.
This one I'd like you to answer, post which we just read through two comments and
Yeah.
we'll answer. This is an important development that has happened in Taiwan. The missile research
Well,
head,
this is nothing. This is pure coincidence.
yeah,
The man had a stent. He's got a history of coronary problems. He was found dead on a business trip. Nothing to do with the.
this is the reason I wanted to bring this up, sir, is that we must learn how to sift through information because it looks
Yeah,
very
this
wow.
is.
Then
Oh, no, no. Yeah, it was a headline in South China Morning Post. I
yeah,
don't agree.
all right. So Travis says the information for everyone is amazing, solid gold.
Thank you.
Post
Thank you,
and
Travis.
Value Pilgrim has a very interesting comment. Next time, please openly sit with a bourbon and a cigar. This show will be a mega hit.
I don't smoke. I don't smoke. And Bourbon is too, what shall I say, produces too much heat for Chennai.
Yeah,
Chennai
guys,
is a place where you can at best have a cold beer. And that
at
too,
best.
after one beer, you start sweating.
Well,
So
where I
Chennai
sit,
is
it's
not.
too cold. I'm not sitting with a
Yeah,
fan, so
I Chennai alcohol is best avoided in Chennai most of the time. Not because
right.
I don't drink too much in Chennai until I go to a colder place. Not because I don't like a drink, but Chennai is not the best place, and one is getting old, so there's no fun in it. Yeah.
Guys, we will come back to you with the next session on. I think China seems to be one of the biggest hits, and we did one on Pakistan, but the one on China seems to be getting the best results. It's interesting and really really heartening to see some very intelligent questions. There are some more, about 5 7 more, which I will speak to General Shankar and we'll try
We'll
and
roll
build.
it over.
We'll roll it over as I've done with some other ones. But sir, thank you so much. We've spent about an hour 21 minutes. It's been a long
Actually, I
session.
must thank all the viewers and who patiently sat through all these questions. I purposefully shortened my initial talk so that I could take on your questions, and we'll do this, right? Oh, thanks, Harsh. So thanks. Uh, the idea is to give you more maximum information. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, I'm going to put this. This is appreciation for me, sir.
Oh, great. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
there's no doubt. I must tell
It-
you in the end, we wouldn't have been where we are today. 2 years back, Adi rang me up one day and said, "Sir, will you do a thing?" I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "So I'm Adi Achin." So what if you're Adi Achin? He said, "No, sir, I do this show." I said, "Which show?" I was also not doing shows then. That was the
and I had
time of
300 followers at that time. So
yeah. So I said, "Okay, let's start. Let's see where it goes." And today, I'm glad that we are, here and developed so many contacts, a lot of interaction, and we'll continue with live shows.
we'll do so.
Yep.
Thanks all. Till next time for, of course, another China watching subject. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind and thank you.